Okay, so a really warm welcome to the boot camp day one. Um, if you have signed up to WhatsApp, actually, I had a bit of problem signing you up to WhatsApp. I think I needed your um, permission. So some people, when you paid, you put your telephone number in, and so I just popped that into WhatsApp, but I need your permission. So have a little look on WhatsApp if you've got it and you want to join. And then I'll just send messages throughout the week. I've just heard my email go off. Sometimes that's oh, okay, right. That's just a little message. Okay, lovely. So we're together now for about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that. What we'll do is we'll have a little look at the thought for today, which I'll post in the mornings on WhatsApp. So if you're on WhatsApp, you'll have seen it. If you're not, doesn't matter because I'll still repeat that. And then we will try a little loosening technique. So this is really to warm us up, warm the brain up so that then you can start to get into a deeper technique more easily. So we'll do that each and every day. And of course, you can stop me at any time. You can ask questions. It's very informal. So just stop me if you're not sure of anything, or for whatever reason you're not able to do something inside your head, or you want to just check if you're doing it correctly inside your head. I'm sure you will be, but please do ask. So let me just get onto WhatsApp and remind myself of today's thought for today. So the thought for today was, if your mindset magically improved, what would you stop doing? Now, as an instantaneous answer, most people probably say stop being nervous, stop doubting myself, whatever it might be. But just see if with that question, either now or afterwards, that you can just kind of empty out. You can think of more things that you'll stop doing, because it might be that you'll stop freezing, or you'll stop not being able to use your arms and legs, or you'll stop chatting too much, or you'll stop the invasive thoughts, and you will start to think of lots and lots of those things. But that becomes a bit of a command, if you like, when you think to yourself, I will stop being nervous, I will stop not being able to use my legs. It's a little bit of a hypnotic technique. So although you can probably say, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do that, if you use that word, I will stop X, Y, and Z, it becomes a little bit deeper. So the first thing I thought I would do this evening is just to go through a few little quirks about the unconscious mind. And once we've done those, we can get into our loosening technique and then our technique for this evening. So the first thing about the unconscious mind is that it's weird and wonderful, and it's not logical. It's a pattern matching machine. So that's all it is. We're talking about the unconscious part of your mind that stores all your habits and your memories. It stores your emotions. It goes into any situation. For instance, now when you're on Zoom and you're looking at a screen, or it could be you're competing, or it could be you're doing the washing up. Go into that situation and it thinks, right, what is this the near match to? So if you've done it before, it'll kind of rifle through its filing cabinet, find the file for washing up, and it knows then how to do it and how it goes. But it does the same for everything that we do. It cuts down the time that we need to think about things, makes things more automatic and automated. But if we've got a pattern for doing something negative, like feeling bad or feeling nervous or getting frustrated or disappointed or expecting the worst, then that's the pattern that pops up. So the more that pattern gets used, the more it's reinforced. And you probably know this already, that, if you go over stuff in your mind over and over a particular occasion, that becomes a really, really strong pattern. And NLP is all about loosening up those patterns and creating new ones. So the second quirk, if you like, of the unconscious mind is that from second to second, it takes in the world around you. It takes in that information through your senses, but it also makes predictions. These are sometimes highly inaccurate predictions. So this is why if you're maybe sitting on a different horse to the horse that makes you nervous, or the horse that you sold 20 years ago, but you're still responding as though it's that old horse, it's because your mind is predicting it. Your mind is basically saying, well, this is a horse, must be the same. I'll make this prediction. I'll make you feel the same way as I did for your old horse. So the good news is that we can override these predictions before they occur. As they're occurring, then we can get in there and stop them, because it is only a prediction. And usually, as I said, it's pretty rubbish as a prediction. The next thing is that the unconscious mind responds to emotions, not logic. So if you try to talk someone or yourself into confidence, it's only going to get so far. It probably won't get very far. It lays down habits and memories much more strongly if it's tied up with an emotion. And if I said to you, what did you do yesterday? Or what did you do last week? The memories that pop out will be the memories that have got emotions tied to them. And it doesn't matter if it's negative or positive, it's just making it much more heightened when we've got an emotion. So we can use that to our advantage. We can not exactly fake it till you make it, but we can make sure that we're really conscious of when we're feeling good about something. And we can amplify that and think about that good feeling instead of passing it off as a one-off, or passing it off as something that is, it's just a freak. It's not going to happen again. I did that thing. I felt really good. We need to go into our mind and celebrate it a little bit, because that will enhance that memory. I've got two more for you. The next one is that your unconscious mind has, I suppose, the sophistication of language of a 5-year-old. So yeah, it understands words, sort of. It's not terribly articulate, but it's very, very literal, like a 5-year-old would be. So treat your mind a bit like a 5-year-old. So just make sure that you're being kind. You're not beating up the 5-year-old. You're not making the 5-year-old feel bad, because it's going to take everything you say and everything you feel on a literal level. And it's also going to learn habits. It's going to soak them up like a sponge, like a 5-year-old who's infinitely curious and is really trying to learn how to be like mum or dad or whoever's around them. And that's what our mind is like. It's just going to take on habits, whether they're your own, they're other people's, the beliefs and the values. So just be really mindful of that fact. The last one for today is that your mind equates the familiar with safety. And you might think, well, yeah, that's pretty obvious, and I can see that, if you go into a familiar place, it feels quite comfortable rather than going to a brand new place. Or if you're going to work, and you're doing pretty much the same job that and you know the people, it feels a lot easier than it does to go to that first day of work where you know nothing and you know none of the systems. But the problem for us as riders is that your mind will actually feel safer. This is the paradox when you don't necessarily feel good. It'll recognize that familiarity. So, for instance, let's choose a rider that doesn't like passing cows on a hack. Then you'll probably tense up, or that rider would tense up. They're not going to feel terribly comfortable. But if that rider somehow gets rid of this fear, there may come a point at first when the new way of doing things is really fresh, where it feels so strange and odd and like a little bit wobbly. Just because the mind has been so used to that flick of a switch, there's some cows, I need to feel nervous. That's my familiar way of doing things. So although it's not nice and it feels really uncomfortable, that is my safety. And I suppose it's a little bit like being in a comfort zone. So we just, again, need to be mindful that sometimes when we change things around and when we lose a fear or we stop being nervous, that sometimes it does feel a bit strange and a bit odd. Okay. Has anyone got any questions on any of those or any comments? Anything that resonates? Okie dokie. Oh, go ahead, Sue.
I suppose it was the first thing that really struck me, the asking ourselves what would happen if we stopped doing it. And I suppose those areas you just talked about, particularly the emotions, a lot of it was tied into that, I think.
So you'll stop feeling a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
suppose a lot of the what ifs are emotion led as well, aren't they? Because you get the
Yeah.
emotion, oh my God, if I do that, what if? And yeah, that seems to be my little cycle that really resonated with me.
Oh, super. Yeah. It is interesting when you start thinking, what am I going to stop doing? Stopping the emotions is very nice, and we're going to do a little technique in a bit where we can help that
I've written
along
down to
a bit.
stop catastrophizing because that's what I'm in a pattern of at the moment. And I think the reason I've struggled to break from it, even though I know it and I recognize it, is the familiarity probably.
Yeah, that's a pain, isn't it?
Mm.
That familiarity. It's like
Mm.
better the devil you know kind of thing, isn't it?
Mm.
Anything else? Any other questions? Anything you want to bring up? Okay, so let's try our loosening technique. Now these techniques, you don't need to write them down. I mean, if you want to write notes or anything like that, then please go ahead. But tomorrow morning, I will send you a PDF with all the instructions. So I'll write down those things I talked about with the mind. I'll write down that stopping things, what are you going to stop, and I'll write the instructions for the technique. So you may want to just experience the technique and then have a little read briefly over the PDF, whether it's this week or next week. And then if you have any questions, you can come back to me. However you think will work best for you. So the first little loosening technique is called perceptual positions. Let me just let Maxine in. Okay, Maxine's in twice, but that's okay. So perceptual positions is helping you to loosen that perception that you may have of yourself as a rider. So if you've labeled yourself as something, so for instance, whether you label yourself as a nervous rider, an unconfident rider, or however else, it might be a self-doubting rider, or whatever it might be. Those labels become a bit entrenched, and we want to loosen them so that that isn't the instantaneous way that you think about yourself as a rider. So for this technique, you're going to imagine yourself in 3 different positions. And when you do this on your own, you can actually move around a room. It's a little bit difficult on Zoom, and you're very welcome to. If you want to move, you can do. But it seems to help it along a little bit if you do physically move. So feel free to move if you want to do. So the first position that you're in is this position that you're sitting in now, and this is you as you are now. This is you with all your troubles and worries and doubts and fears and way of thinking and patterns and memories and so on and so forth. This is you. The second position is you before you ever felt like this. So for some people, it might be a time in the past when you were a confident rider. So maybe you were confident as a kid, maybe you were confident as a teenager, or in your 20s, or whenever it might be, some point when you were confident as a rider, or certainly not as you are now. Now, if you think, well, I've always felt this way about riding, go back to before you were a rider. Go back to when you were thinking about becoming a rider, when you were thinking, oh, it might be quite fun to get on a horse and maybe have lessons or try out somebody else's horse or whenever. So go back to that time point when you were really curious about riding and what it was going to be like and how exciting it was going to be. So that's your second position. Your third position is going to be a version of you that is yet to come into being. So a near future version of you who's got rid of all of these things, who is now the rider that you want to be and is able to manage their mindset much more easily. Okay, so that's just an overview. I will remind you as we go through the technique where we're up to. So you're going to, as the first step, be you as you are now, with all the mindset and the baggage that you've currently got, and you're going to imagine talking to that past version of yourself. And what you're going to do is you're going to do it inside your head. Again, if you're on your own, you can say it out loud, but I think for now it's easier to do inside your head. And you're just going to pour out your troubles, your woes, your moans. You can say how you feel at the moment, what you've tried, things that are tough for you. And you're just going to, keep going. Just imagine that person, that past version of you, sitting in front of you, and you're just telling her everything. And she's not going to reply for a few moments. She's going to listen to it and absorb it. Okay, so if it helps you to do this to concentrate or to focus, then you can close your eyes. If you want your camera off, you can turn your camera off. Do what helps you the most. So there you are, sitting there as yourself. You're going to talk to this person. You're going to tell them everything that you want to do, the things you've tried, the things you haven't tried, all the moans and groans. I'm just going to give you a few moments and then I'll ask if everyone's finished. And if you haven't, please continue. So I'll leave you in silence for a few moments. If you need a little bit more time, just raise your hand. Okay, I think we're all back. Okay, super duper. So hopefully you've offloaded to that version of you, and they hopefully weren't answering you back. In a moment, we're going to be that past version. Now, that past version of you didn't have this problem, either because it's before they set off on their riding journey or they were a confident rider. And they may be a little bit puzzled, you know, when you think about yourself as a teenager, if you're a confident teenage rider, what on earth would that teenager have said to you? Well, this is what we're going to find out. So you're going to now be that past version of you. You're going to almost feel like you're back in your past body. You've got that past mindset. And you're going to respond to number one. And number one's just going to sit and take it. Now, you can do it different ways, and this will depend on your personality, and you'll know which one fits you. So you could be very kind. So the past version of you could be very kind and say, you know, I've listened to everything, and you know, you've been through a lot, and I'm here to support you. So it would be an arm round the shoulder type of thing. And some people would respond better to that. The second thing is that, you know, it could be a bit of a kick up the bum. It could be, oh my God, what are you talking about? We used to fly over these jumps. We used to go out into open fields without a saddle on, and, you know, remember this and remember that. And, you know, you can still do it. You're fabulous, but you've got to get going again, you know, and it might just be a little bit more of a stick rather than a carrot. Or you could do a bit of a combination. So you'll know which you respond to. So when you're number two, you're the past version of you, you're giving out advice or comments on what you've heard. Once you've finished, give yourself a few moments, because it's quite likely that there might be something else that comes, a piece of advice that just comes. So give yourself a moment and just see if something else comes out. You know, you might be reminded of something that somebody used to say to you to chivvy you along, help you out, or, you know, a memory might suddenly pop into your head and you think, wow, you know, I've still got the same mind. I've got maybe grown a bit wiser and a bit older, but all of those things are still in me. So just do that. Just give yourself that little pause. So now you're talking as your past version to your current version. Do the same again. Close your eyes. If you need to turn your screen off, do so. I'm just going to leave you in silence while you do that. Okay. If you need a bit more time, just let me know. Give me a wave. Okay, so the last position then. You're now going to transport yourself into the future, and you're going to be in the last position, which is the near future version of you who has got rid of these mindset gremlins. So you've been number one, you know what it was like. You've been number two, you know what that was like. And so you've maybe got a bit more of a voice of reason. You can maybe temper some of the stuff that number two said. If number two went a bit cruel, you can say, well, that was a bit unkind, you know. Or you can say, you know what, I agree with you, and I think that we need to get in touch with that past version of ourselves. Or number one, you can really do this. You just, like you're on the edge of being able to do it. You just need a little push. So this one, when you're this number one, number three, this voice of reason, you might want to just say a few words to number one and number two, and then wait. And just like you did before, see if something extra comes, and wait again. See if some other piece of advice comes. Now, these pieces of advice may come as you're doing it, but they may also come this evening when you go to bed, when you have a sleep. They might come tomorrow morning when you're doing something completely unrelated. You're in the shower or something. So don't force it, because it's a work in progress. So you're in number three now. You're talking to one and two, the past and current versions of you, giving yourself a few little breaks as you allow your mind to provide you with the thoughts rather than you actively talking about it. Okay, so I'll leave you again for a few moments. Okay, just let me know if you need some more time. Okie dokie. Right, now the final thing is to go back and be yourself. So come back into position one, be yourself, your current self, and think, how do you feel now? If anyone wants to share, you can do. Sharing is not compulsory though. Anyone got any comments or questions about that loosening technique?
I don't mind saying I thought it might be silly, and I didn't have any confidence that 9-year-old me would have much advice to impart, but it was really good.
Shock.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. That's great. Brilliant. Anyone got any questions or comments?
I feel more positive now, I think, because that 15-year-old is still inside me.
Yeah. Yeah, she just needs to come to the forefront, that's
Yeah.
all.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else? Any questions? Okay. Lovely. Well, that was just the loosener. Now, the technique for this evening is really quick, a very quick one, and it's to do with feelings, and it's to do with negative feelings, obviously. So we're not going to work with big negative feelings. So if you've got full-blown terror of doing something, don't choose that. But I'm talking about nerves, feeling doubtful, feeling uncomfortable, worry, anxiety, that kind of thing, which are big enough in themselves. But we're not talking about rage and terror and all that kind of thing. That they're a bit too big for this. So I'm going to walk you through the technique. How can I say? I don't want you to conjure up these negative feelings because that's really not the point of what we're doing. But if you're about to go for a ride, maybe tomorrow, and your stomach is naturally kind of doing somersaults, or you've got a competition coming up, and each time you think about it, you think, "Oh God, why did I sign up for that?" So if there's something that is already there, then you can work on it. If you're thinking, well, I'm probably not going to ride for a week or two, or I don't really get nervous until I'm 10 minutes before I get on, then I'll talk you through it anyway, and you can use it when you need it. So if you have got that negative emotion, whatever it might be, so I'm just going to say anxiety, but yours may not be specifically anxiety. It could be frustration, disappointment, whatever. But if I just say anxiety, so that I don't have to keep listing them all, then the first thing that you do is that you think about where that feeling is in your body. So for some people, it's in their chest, it's quite high up in their chest. Other people, it's a bit lower in their chest. Some people, it's kind of solar plexus or in their stomach, like their tummy area. Some people have it in their neck. They feel tight in their neck. So it doesn't matter where it lodges itself. We were saying right at the start that your mind is a pattern matcher. So it will have a pattern for this negative emotion. It'll think, okay, here we go. This is what I do. So for me, it's usually in my stomach, in my tummy. That's usually where I feel it. So my mind says, right, anxiety, that gives you an uncomfortable, tight feeling in the pit of your stomach. So for this technique, you don't need to think about the whys and wherefores. or even think, I've got to get rid of it, I've got to get rid of it. You simply place your attention on where it is. That's all you do. So you just think about that sensation rather than, why is it getting bigger? Why is it going smaller? Why is it this? Why is it there? Why don't other people have it? You just think about the sensation. And it's just a sensation. And as I said, the mind has decided that that's your pattern. That's where it goes. So what would happen if we disrupted the pattern by moving it? Well, for some people, that's all it takes for the feeling to disappear. So we often try and get that feeling into your big toe, because it's ridiculous to have nerves or whatever in your big toe. Your big toe doesn't really have emotions. So we try and imagine pushing it, or maybe pulling it, or willing it to get down, get off its perch. Now that's quite challenging to get to your big toe. So I'm just going to give you a few moments if you're trying it. But if you can move it a couple of centimeters, or maybe 1 centimeter, then you've disrupted the pattern. So if you're having a go, just move it. Okay. So some people can get it into their big toe, some people can move it a centimeter. We're just disrupting the pattern. So your mind's saying, oh, it can't be anxiety because this feeling's in your thighs or wherever it might be. Some people, that's the one that works for them. Other people are like, well, it kind of took an edge off. Or some people move it and say, actually, it doesn't feel any different. I've still got the anxiety. So second thing we can do, and again, this works best for some people and not for others. Place your attention back on that sensation wherever it is in your body, whether it's moved or it's gone back to where it was, or it didn't move at all. So again, you're just thinking about the sensation. Now, if that sensation had a particular colour, imagine what colour it would be. It can be any colour, it might be more than one colour, but just think about what colour it would be. So again, we're just trying to disrupt the pattern, so give it another colour. Some people visualize themselves kind of colouring it in, painting it a different colour. Some people see it gradually getting a different colour, like moving through maybe the rainbow or what have you, to get to a different colour. Some people white it out. Instead of having a colour, they just imagine it just going completely on a white out. And some people, that's their one, that's their disruptor. Okay, now some people, they need a different disruptor, or a different one works more strongly for them. So let's place our attention back on that emotion, or that sensation, I should say. And this time you're thinking, well, if it were spinning in one direction, so it could be kind of away from you and back to you, or it could be round, or whichever way it feels as though it might be spinning. Can you spin it the opposite way, or can you stop it spinning? Okay. again, that's the disruptor for some people. Another one is that some people, I'll just put my hands on my chest and imagine mine's in my chest. You kind of imagine it being pulled out. Now you can do that with your hands, or you can just imagine somebody else, like a rope, and they're just doing hand over hand, and they're just pulling it out of you. And you just imagine this sensation just leaving you. So it may be that one of those works best for you, or a combination works best for you. You can change other things. You can change the shape. That sounds a bit weird, but a sensation, you place your attention on the sensation, you think, okay, so if it did have a shape, what shape would it be? So mine's a bit like spiky. And so maybe I could round off the edges, or I could change it to any other shape. And I'm just getting rid of that pattern. So if one of those works for you, or more than one works for you, that's super. If they didn't kind of work for you, let me know. And in the email tomorrow morning, I will write down some more ways that you could change it. Otherwise, we might be here all night, you know, and people are like, no, the colour did it for me, 20 minutes ago, I was fine. But I'll write a few more ideas down of how you can change it. Okay, how was that? Anyone's feeling dissipate, or maybe we didn't have a feeling to work on at the moment?
I feel mine reduced, but it wasn't from 10 to 0. It was maybe somewhere in between. But do you think then, Tracy, that would be the more you work on it over time, it will
It
help?
could be. Or maybe we just haven't got that disruptor yet, that specific one that works for you. So I'll write a few more ideas down.
Thank you.
Which one worked best for you?
The stopping the spinning, but I got
Stopping
so
the spinning.
focused in holding the spinning thing, like a distraction was,
Yeah,
rather than focus on a more positive check-in on how I was feeling, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. Okey-doke. Has anyone got any questions about that little technique? Okay, so when you get practiced, and because you've done it at home while you're sitting on the sofa and so on, and you can do it, you know your thing, whether it's the spin, the colour, the shape, whatever, you know your thing, then you can do it on the horse, because you'll get quicker and quicker and quicker. You'll be like, oh, there's that feeling. I just need to get it into my big toe, or I need to do something else. So it's one that you could do in or out of the saddle as well, which is quite nice. Okay. And anything else? Any other questions? Any other comments before we close for this evening?
No, really good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining me live. Thanks to the people who are watching this on a recording. I know, Maxine, you said you're not with us tomorrow, you're on a lesson. So enjoy your lesson.
Thank you.
You don't necessarily need to catch up before day 3, because it's not that you need day 2's knowledge to do day 3 or anything like that. So catch up when you need to.
Fab, thank you.
All right then. So I will see you tomorrow night, same time, same place. Thank you.
Cheers, bye all.
Bye.
Bye.